Get started here, folks. Come on.
Okay, ready? Coming through. 5. What?
Oh, wait. It's only 5 still.
We're
Been
still
at
on 5.
5 for 15.
We are holding at 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rick?
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our second day of official CIDC 2017. My name is Rick Martin. I'm just going to do a little breakfast session here talking about source control and Clarion. And it's kind of interesting. Somebody up here really needed notes on their presentation. Control-Shift-M, responsive design. Boom. It's a serious remember. Anyway, sorry. This time. Okay, so I guess hopefully after we've all been talking on Clarion Live and presentations and stuff over the years, most of you are aware of what source control is. Basically, source control has been around probably since around the 70s, and it's a way to capture the changes that you make to your source control and keep that as a history in a nutshell. So just kind of give you a brief show. So this is using Git, which is one of the kind of current favorite source control systems. So we go up here to log. We can see basically, and this is a demo I've used in a bunch of the CID presentations or Clarion Live presentations over the years. So you can basically see every single change that's ever been made to the system going back literally for years that I've been trying to pitch this to you guys. And at any point, you can go back and look and come over here and see what files actually got changed. So this is going all the way back to 2013. And you can go, okay, well, what change do we make then? This is obviously a new global variable. So the actual change itself isn't important. The fact that you can actually go back in time and see what and when you changed, and hopefully if you're giving good commit messages, you can see why you changed it. So one of the things I always recommend, assuming you have a bug tracking system, which you should if you don't, is that you put in the issue number whenever you do a commit message. And that way you can actually go back and look at the information that was submitted by your clients or QA department or whatever to see what the issue was that you actually were trying to fix with that change. So this is really handy when something goes wrong down the road and you identify, okay, well, here's the piece of code that's misbehaving now. Well, why did somebody make that change? Maybe there's really was a reason. If you just go, oh, I'm just going to change it back to what I think it should be, this gives you an opportunity to see, what changed, who changed it, which is called blame, which is always fun. So you can go back to file and time and go blame. And basically for every line of code, it tells you when it was changed, who changed it, and then the actual commit that did it. So we can see some of this is 4 or 5 years old. You can go down through and see, again, who changed what and when. So this is very powerful. One of the other huge advantages, especially if you use my tools, is it gives you the opportunity to have multiple developers working on the same app at the same time. And then source control allows you to commit your changes and merge your changes together, and has a conflict detection so that you can then, if you did change the same line of code, look at those two different changes and pick which one is the winner, or go have a discussion with the other developer to figure out what should really be there. So that's one of the real disadvantages of working in Clarion with binary app files. Is source control systems work with text. I mean, they can commit a binary, but they can't merge a binary, as you can well imagine. So let's go ahead and take a look at making a change or two. So I've got, if we look here, let's go back to SmartGit. So this is SmartGit is a utility I use to interface with Git. So I've got 2 DLL tutor examples here. So you can see basically one here says it's on what's called the master branch. And I have another one here, let's make that a little larger, that's on the CIDC 2017 feature branch. So this is potentially a branch where you're going to add new features that you want to develop until they're really ready, and you don't want them to be part of the main line of development because they're not ready yet. And you don't even necessarily want to share them yet with the other developers. So we're going to go in here to Clarion, and we're going to go on our master branch. And let's just go make a quick change of some kind. You guys see that all right? I cranked up my fonts. So let's see, let me go real quick. All right, so we're going to go to our, where is it? Problem with a large font now is we can't see everything we want to see. All right, we're going to go to our view orders, and let's just say we're going to come in here and we're going to fix a little bug of some kind. We're going to say after the window's opened, we want the default condition. If true, which is really some condition, we want to hide by default one of our controls. So let's just say the insert button. So there's our fix. We fix that. It's all wonderful. We're going to compile. And now we've tested that, and we're super happy with our change, and we want to commit that. So we're going to come up, and we're going to save this app to version control. And what my system does is basically exports the app file to a TXA format, and then it parses that TXA into individual modules, and then pushes that out into Git. So here I have a subfolder of our solution. In that folder, we have another folder for each of the apps in our solution. So we can see that we've made change. Here's our change, and we're going to say, okay, we're happy with that. So we're going to go ahead and commit our change. So fixed, we'll go issue 345, fixed initial hide condition. Unfortunately, with big fonts, you don't get all your buttons. All right, so we're going to commit that. And so what that really did is that actually just committed that locally into my local, what's called a Git repository. And that is basically a complete copy of the history and the repository for all the changes for the system that is actually on my system right now. So one of the things with Git is I actually have my local repository linked to a repository in Bitbucket up in the cloud. So that's what push is about. So if I do a push here, that's going to basically send my current branch up to the cloud. See if it asks me for a password. No, it doesn't. Okay. So now other developers who are working on the master branch, if they do what's called a pull, which is getting the latest information from Bitbucket down into their local repository, they would get my change. So one of the other real powers of using source control is the idea of branching and merging. So I kind of hinted on that there with the CIDC branch. So take, for example, you have your main line of development, which is what's out in the field, and you're ready to start version 2 or whatever of your major project. Well, it could be some time before that is code stable enough to release to anybody, let alone QA department or beta testers, et cetera. So you want to be able to create what's called a branch, and you can do all the new development for version 2 on that branch, and then when it's ready to roll, you can push that into the master branch. Meanwhile, if someone has to do a bug fix or something on the master branch, they can go in there, do a quick bug fix, and then release that to the customers or QA or whatever. So those two lines of development become completely independent. And then the whole idea is that then you can take them and merge them together when you're ready to do so. And there's a bunch of different strategies you can use in that concept of branching and merging. So I'm just going to kind of show a quick branch and merge. So we're going to go ahead and close up this solution. So you can see here I have our CIDC. So this is just another solution on my system that is a clone of the same repository. So you can see that here where I have basically two local, and they're just two different folders on my system. So basically two copies. But imagine this could be Merle developing on his system at home, and me developing here, and he's making changes, and then we can merge our changes together. So even though it's just two folders on my system now. But on the other hand, this is also legitimate for the example that I was describing, in that the CIDC branch is my version 2 branch. So I'm doing new development there, but if I have to do a quick fix, I can do that on the master branch and commit that as well. Let's go back to Clarion. So our version 2, we're reworking our look and feel. So we're going to go back to our Updates app. We're going to go back to our view orders. And as you can see, let's go ahead and take a look at this window. Slow down, Rick. All right, so you can see this window's kind of a little cramped and small. Our great Clarion examples. So we've decided we're going to change things up a little bit, not too radically. So I've got a window here. All right, so new window. We've decided to make things larger. Let's go ahead and change our font so Bruce doesn't get upset with us. And let's go boom. All right, we'll go 12 here. All right, go and look at that. Oh, so my problem with dragging a mouse around. We're going to do one more little change here. We're going to change this indent because that looks awfully close to that edge. All right. All right, so we love our new look and feel. It's so dramatically improved. It's amazing. So notice we're updating view orders here just like I did on that little fix on the master branch. So we're going to compile this, and we're testing it, and we've given it to QA and the marketing people, and they love the new look and feel. So now we're getting ready to actually, don't do that one, Rick. So basically now what I've done is I've exported my changes here, and we're ready to actually go, and we're saying, okay, we were ready to do version 2. So we want to merge version 2 branch into the master so that now we can actually get ready to send it to QA and ship it for production. All right, so you can see we had our changes here. So we're going to go ahead and commit that. And version 2, new look and feel. All right, we're going to go ahead and commit that. So again, now that committed just locally here in the folder where I have my CIDC 2017 feature branch. So now we need to push that up to Bitbucket. So we're going to push that up. So now we have our team that is going to pull everything all together and basically get our new merged branch. So we're going to come over to our master, and we happen to know now that there are changes on the CIDC feature branch. So we're going to do another pull here so that we get the latest and greatest of everything. So we can just see down here that it indicated that we have, let's see, did that, double check on that. Okay, should have pulled it. So if we go look at our log now, okay, we should be able to see that we have a change here, fixed initial high condition, and did it not pull that? I should have pulled that. I'm going to do a quick checkout on this. And pull that. should have come down. It's always fun when. All right. So let's give this a shot and see if it works, because now everyone has me worried. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a merge. So we have our changes, and we're going to merge our, see that change is not there. That is really annoying me. All right, let's just see what we get here. We're going to do a merge. We're not getting anything because it did not pull this. Syncing requires working champion. Dave, it's your fault for not being here to introduce me. Dang it. Well, I did something wrong, which is always entertaining. Please pull my changes. Man. All right, well, we're going to cheat. Maybe. We're going to go back over to this guy, and we're going to pull here, which I hate doing. And I have something messed up with my repositories. That is so annoying. So you can see here, it's indicated that, there we go. All right, so we're kind of on the other folder here that was actually my test folder, and I'll look and try to figure out what I did wrong there. But all right, so what we're going to do, finally, is we want to be able to see our changes. Okay, so you can see here that this is our master change where we fixed our hide condition, and here's our version 2 changes, which is our new look and feel. So we're on our master branch, and we're going to merge our changes from version 2 into our master. I know that looked much more difficult than it was. So we can come down here, and it's going to show us the changes that we just merged. So it took those changes from the CIDC branch and just merged them into our master branch and our local working copy here. So if we come in here, we can see there's a number of changes. The ones we're really interested in will be down at the bottom. Large fonts are fun. Fortunately, SmartKit seems to have a minimum window size, and it won't let you go any more than that. But we can kind of see here is our font change versus the old version. So let's go ahead and import that. So we're going to go back to this branch. We're going to go to our solution, and we're going to import. So this is part of my add-in for the source control. So what it did is it went out and compared all those APV text files to the dates and times on those, the dates and times to the actual app files, and said, okay, which ones are the apps out of date on? So it's automatically checked the updates for us. So if we go ahead and then process this guy, it's going to import that for us. So what it does is it combines all the APV files from the subfolder into one big TXA and then imports that into the app for you. So basically that's the methodology that you use to get changes from other developers or to merge branches like we're doing here. So if we go in now, we go to our view orders, we'll be able to see that we have our new bigger window. And if we go to our embeds, assuming I can, so our disadvantage is making a big font for you guys. We can see that we also have our change for our initial condition of the insert button. So I know that was just a minor change there, but think about that being not just one change, but potentially hundreds of changes, and it would have merged all of those changes together. Now, when that happens, you do get conflicts, which is where the source control system can't figure out, well, what exactly is the right answer here? And what it does then is, in this interface here, we would have these files marked as a conflict, and you can open those up, and it would show you the areas. It would show you the left-hand side, which is what was on the master branch, and the version 2 branch, and in the middle they would have them merged together, and that would give you an opportunity to look at that and pick which set of changes you actually wanted. So then once we commit this, so it actually automatically filled in the commit message for us, saying that this is a merge of the feature branch. So you can commit and push that, and so now we have all the changes from the feature branch into the master branch. And that can be done multiple times. So now we can say, okay, well, that was the version that we want to start working with the QA department or whatever. We're still going to go over and do a few more tweaks on the feature branch. You can finish that up, and then you can merge it again and again and again if necessary. So that actually becomes, honestly, a very powerful tool. The other thing that you want to do is when you have a chance to actually release your software, so we send version 2 out to the public, you create what's called either a branch at that time or at least a tag, so that at that point in time you tag your Clarion environment and you tag your source code for your development, so at any point in time you can go back exactly to whatever source you had that created version 2. And then that gives you an opportunity to start doing bug fixes on version 2 while you're working on version 3, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's actually an incredibly powerful tool to use. And the other thing that's super nice is you can't screw up too badly anyway. So if we didn't like those changes, we could actually go in there. There's, as you can see, if we actually look at a change, let's go back to our log for a second. You can go to any given commit and revert it. So what that means is it would take that change out and put the code back exactly like it was before you put that change in there. So it takes a lot of fear out of, well, do I really want to do this and start going down this road? What if the whole idea sucks and I need to go back? Well, it's extremely easy to go back in time to any given point and erase those changes, or only cherry pick a few of those changes, because some of it's good, some of it's bad. It's a little work. I won't be lying that it's a little work to get everything going, and it's hard to see the benefits, which is kind of why I wanted to show the branching and merging here, because initially it just looks like more work for you, and it is. But I guarantee you, 5 months down the road, maybe even less than that, you'll be so shocked and amazed that you ever did it without it. There's a couple guys here who've been using my tools for a long, long time. Go talk to Daryl. He'll pump you up big time. So anyway, it's, I think, an extremely useful and powerful thing. The entire development world outside of Clarion would be shocked if they discovered that there was a whole group of us where lots of us weren't using source control. Everybody in the development world is using source control, honestly. It's extremely mainstream. The big challenge in Clarion is dealing with the binary app file. So Clarion Live, I did a webinar almost exactly a year ago, maybe in September, where I really walked through installing Git, installing the tools, much more detailed examples of kind of how to walk through this. So, like I say, check it out. I think even if you don't use my tooling, you should still be using source control in some manner, 100%. I'm a huge advocate. That's it. Any questions? We've got a few running around.
This work on the dictionaries as well?
Right now, the dictionary is still being committed as a binary. It is on my to-do list. Ted Stewart, who isn't in here yet, has been harping on me for some time. One of the problems is the dictionary object inside of the IDE is a completely private class, which gives me virtually no access to it. But you can use Clarion CL, the command line utility, to export and import it. So had been trying to get it so it was really more integrated. But in the pretty near future, I'm just going to shell out to Clarion CL and tell it to export the dictionary to DCTX. and then you can start using it for that. So yeah. And the dictionary, especially on a more stable project, doesn't change as often, so the conflict of two developers needing to change it can usually be worked out. So obviously on a brand new project, the dictionary is changing rapidly, so that's a different case, but yeah. Mark?
Does it support working with SVN as opposed to Git?
Yes. So if you go to our solution here, here's the project settings. So by default, I have Git, CVS, and SVN, because those are the ones I've used over time. You can pick which Clarion version. If you have multiple versions of Clarion installed using the versions in the IDE, you can pick that. I mean, there's a lot of options. And actually, you can use any version control system you want as long as it supports a command line interface for doing adding of files, folders, and removals. So yeah, it's pretty flexible.
And is it possible to, rather than using GitHub on a public server, can you do a Git server, you know, if I've got my local machine and then I've got a server in my office?
I don't know if I don't think GitHub doesn't have a product, but Atlassian, which is the makers of Bitbucket, they have a product called Bitbucket Server. It used to be called Stash. So Bitbucket Server, it's very inexpensive for small teams, like $10 or, I mean, it's very inexpensive. And that you can install on your own servers in your own office, yes.
And what's Git's, the Git, public Git have a free service, or what's
so Bitbucket, which is what I was using here, their initial offering is very reasonable. It's basically free for teams under 5 with an unlimited number of private repositories. GitHub I think GitHub is a little better as your team grows, but you have to pay for private repositories right from the get-go. So I'm pretty much on the Bitbucket because most of the teams I'm working on are relatively small, basically less than 5 people. So Bitbucket has been the way that I've been going. I think there was a question.
Hi, Rick. So was wondering, could you just at a very high level recap the steps of you're branching, you're working in 2 different paths, then you're merging back when you're uploading to the repository, and then I saw you doing some pulling back down. I lost some of those steps there.
Kind of short on time. Why don't you come see me later? And like I say, the webinar is excellent. So yeah, I don't think we're really enough time to do a whole another recap. Sorry. We do? Oh. Well, I am the next one, but I thought you guys wanted to. Okay. So, all right. Well, fundamentally, you
I had the same question.
basically once you have your app with your changes, so you make your changes. All right. You then the process then in Clarion is to export those changes once you're ready. And honestly, I would recommend, this isn't I developed for 5 weeks and I'm now happy and I'm going to export it. You want to be exporting and committing at least locally to your local repository all the time. Because then you have a history of your changes locally, and if you're unhappy with something, you can go back. If you wait a week or 2 weeks and commit that, well, that's your only go back is that whole week's worth of work. So committing a bunch of branches or a bunch of commits locally is a very good idea. And that's going all either to your local repository, or like if you're on the CIDC branch, you can commit locally on the CIDC branch, you can then commit those changes as well to Bitbucket. So after you've saved out, there's no changes here, so we'll see if we actually get something. We do. So Clarion loves, unfortunately, to change little things like this. We can see it went from a ×0 to a ×1, and you can see that the ×1 has no meaning whatsoever. It's unfortunate that this kind of happens randomly in the TXAs. We're hoping maybe we might be getting some changes down the road on that so that it is less frequent. That's one of the kind of annoying little nigglies. But anyway, so you would then commit your changes, push those changes, then other developers would pull those changes, import them, that would give them your development work, and then you make those changes and the cycle goes on. If you're working on 2 different branches, then at some point you're going to decide, okay, well, we want the version 2 changes over in this branch, and then you do a merge. One of the other very powerful things is, say we're doing our version 2 example, and we had a big bug fix, and we had to do that bug fix, and we're actually currently doing version 3 development as well. Well, we want just that change. We don't want to do a whole merge from version 2 to version 3. We just want that single commit. That's called a cherry pick. So cherry pick would give you the ability to look at all the commits, and you can go to any given one and grab just the changes that were made for that particular commit and merge it into your current branch. And that's extremely powerful, especially for that picking and choosing from branches where you're not intending to do full merges anymore because they're really been separated. Does that kind of help? Okay.
Does that cherry pick mean you can revert back cherry pick to, or just?
You can revert any commit.
Okay.
So, yeah. Any other questions? Charlie?
I know that you like Git.
Yeah.
Is there any disadvantage to us if we've already committed to Visual SVN and working with your product?
No. Yeah, I used CVS for many, many years. Then merged to SVN for, I'd say, a short couple of years, honestly. There were some of the things with merging and branching the SVN that I didn't particularly care for. And then Git and Mercurial kind of took over the world. You can absolutely convert your repository from SVN to Git. I mean, that's actually, I've done that for a couple of clients. It's not all that difficult. But no, there's no, it's just a personal preference at this point for me. The big thing is you get the local repositories. That's one of the really nice things. Doesn't matter if the server's online. You could be working here. You have everything, a full copy of the repository on your system. That's one of the nice things as well. All right, cool. So I do have a discount. Actually, a discount on all my products on Clarion Live. It's not supposed to come up in, well, that didn't work very well, did it? We'll go just open the publisher. Is there a preview then? Anyway, 25% use the CIDC 2017 code on Clarion Shop. If you go to Clarion Shop and just search for Upper Park, you'll see, not that I have that many products, but the products that are there, including the source control add-in and the format assignment, which I'll demonstrate a little bit during one of my other presentations. All right, thanks. We will be back very shortly and doing the next